Well, have you ever wondered what you can do with broken china or porcelain or ceramics like this? Now, if I get any broken bits, I keep it. You don't just have to make a mosaic with it, you can make some amazing jewellery with it as well. And I'm going to show you today how you can do that. Now, if you're breaking pottery on purpose, which is what I'm going to do in a minute, then please wear eye protection, because the last thing you want to do is get any bits in your eyes. And break it inside a box as well, because that will keep all the little shards. I want some really interesting pieces. Oh, I like that piece. Oh, that piece is lovely. I think that piece would be quite nice as well. And the great thing about this one, this bowl, I've still got 5 others of them, is it's 2 different colours. It's one colour one side and one colour another. I also keep like this bowl here is seen the best of its days. It's got chips on it, so I can't use it now for food. So let's see if we can get an interesting shaped bit with this. And I love this pattern on this one. Now you can use some nippers and things like that to break these in a little bit more of a decent shape. Now if you've got any really sharp corners on these, so for instance, that bit there is really sharp, I would just nip those sharp bits right off. If you haven't got a set of these, you can use normal pliers, but these do work better. Before we do anything else, what we need to do is make sure all these bits are really clean. Now be careful with this, because if you've got sharp little splinters on them, then you can get those stuck in your finger. So wear gloves if you need to. And all I'm doing is using some 99% alcohol and going round everywhere to make sure there's no grease or anything on there. Once they're clean, I can then put them to one side on a piece of tissue to carry on evaporating and drying. Well, these 3 bits are dry now, and so what I'm going to do is these are the 3 bits I'm going to show you how to turn into jewellery, and these other ones I will do these off camera and show you what they look like at the end. Well, now we've got those all nice and clean and they're lovely and dry, what I need to do is pop around the edge this copper foil. And actually, that is a lot easier to do than it sounds, to be honest. I try and start at the bottom of what I'm going to have the bottom of the piece, and then I go in between, going all the way around to try and get it as central as possible, and then I try and line up that last piece as best I can. And then this is why it's really important to have it as clean as you can, because this stuff really does stick well. And then all I do is I go round and I fold over copper, that, and if I've got a bit, for instance, there that is quite narrow, there's only a little bit there, I can leave it like that. It adds a bit of uniqueness to it. But if you want to add a little bit more onto that, all you got to do is I will take a piece of the thinner copper foil, because I have 2 different sorts. But if you don't have the thinner one, you can cut a little strip on there, like that. Cut that off and fold that over. And then once you've got all 3 done, you really do need to go over it either with a bone folder or fid or something like this and push that down as flat as you can get it, really. Now I tend to go around all my edges first, like this. Well, the face and the back, I suppose that's what they are. And then when I'm happy I've got those all the way down and as flat as possible, I go round the edge like this, round all the edges. And then I'll go over and give another quick burnish on the back and the front. And that one's all done. Now this one's going to be a bit different because there's a real thick bit there from where the plate broke. So what I'll do there is I'll start with a wide piece like this on that bit. And then I'll go round. Don't forget we have cleaned these all up. I'll go round and try and put that copper tape on as central as I can all the way round. And I'll push it over where I can. And there's just that bit there that's really thick that hasn't got enough. And that's where the thinner comes in really handy. So I will go to that edge there on something like that. Pull that across and then pop that on like that. And the same for this side as well. Yep, that's good. And now once again, go around it with your bone folder or your fid. Flatten that all down and make sure that it's adhering to that ceramic. You can do this with glass as well, by the way. So broken glasses and things like that. Because I made these in my previous video, and these are all glass. Well, apart from these 2, which are resin. That's a piece of sea glass. But that's a different method. I love that method as well. If you want to check out that video, I'll link it at the end of this one, so you can see how to make those. Don't miss this step out. It's really important. And then this final one I'll do in exactly the same way, but because we've got a curve on it, it's a little bit harder to follow it all the way around and get an even bit section to it. But that doesn't matter because we could do exactly the same as we've done with the previous ones. This is a little bit moldable, this copper. I will link it in the description below so you can get hold of it, because it's important you get the right type of copper. You don't want to get fake copper because it's just not going to work. And believe me, there's a lot out there. Actually, I quite like that. I'm not going to add any extra bits to that. All I'm going to do is go round it again now, using my bone folder, fid, and flatten this down. Now, I've had this copper foil, this particular roll, a long while, so it has tarnished a little bit, and we want to make sure it's as tarnish free as possible for the next part of this. I'm going to show you how to do that. So there we go, that's all done. To get rid of anything that's on there that you don't want on there, any tarnish or anything like that on that copper, all I do is I go round with a bit of 99% alcohol on a cotton bud, just go round, eat all that copper. Now, you're not saturating it. It's not going to damage the glue that is holding this stuff down to the ceramic. It will just give that clean enough. And you can see it's picked up quite a bit of dirt on there. I'll move them ones out of the way. And now what I'm going to do is add my flux all the way around. Don't forget this process either. You must add flux, because if not, your solder is not going to stick to your copper where you want it. It's not going to move. So here I've got my solder iron, and on my solder iron today I've got my spare arm, third arm or third hand or whatever it's called, because I will be using that. I don't need to use that quite at the minute. I've got my solder, and I use a lead-free solder always. Okay, I'm going to clean my tip on my little wet sponge, and now I'm going to pick up a bit of that solder onto there, and now just run that all the way around. Now you can put a heavy amount on so you get a real thick dome, or you can run a really smooth amount on like I'm doing here. Now if you want it nice and silvery and sparkly, then run it, and while it's still hot, take it off, and you get that sparkle to it. I don't care about that, to be perfectly honest, because I'm finishing these off in a different way. I don't want them to be all nice and smooth. Now with ceramic, you will find the ceramics will start to get hot the more you put solder on it, because they do conduct heat really well. So once I've got that on there, I'm not going to do anything else to that front solder yet until I've put the back and the side on. Now I'll put the back solder on. I don't want mine all nice and smooth, so I'll show you how I get rid of all that. Always as well working... Ooh, I can feel this ceramic is getting quite hot now. Always work in a well-ventilated room. Have an extractor fan on as well. Even though this is lead-free, you don't really want to be breathing this in. Any smoke or anything from your solder or all that. That's fairly smooth now, both sides, but we need to fill in these bits. Now, they've already been fluxed. What I often find is that I've used enough solder on the edges to be able to just run my solder iron along those edges and bring it in. If I haven't, I just pick a bit up and then run it round. Massive thank you to everyone that got me a coffee last month as well. I really appreciate it. It does help me buying all this stuff for this channel, and it allows me to keep making videos as well. Thank you. If you'd like to buy me a coffee and get your name on my coffee board, the link's in the description. Yep, so all that copper's covered now. And I can just go ahead and do the same with these. So I'll give them a clean up with the 99% alcohol. You don't need much on here, just enough to get any grease and grime or a little bit of tarnish off this copper. And then once again, just pop a bit of flux on it. This flux that I've got, when it dries really sticky, which is quite useful sometimes, but it does take a bit of cleaning off at the end. It is a non-toxic flux though, which is important. Well, for me it is. Okay, and now I'm going to go around and do exactly the same thing, but on this one, I might give it a bit more texture. And if I want a bit more texture, all I have to do is add solder in more clumps. When I've put it on, I can just move it about a bit more. So I might have a bit there like that, and then put a bit there. As long as I've got no sharp bits on it, or pointy bits, then I'm happy. I tend to use the edge of my solder iron as well, rather than the tip. I find it goes on a little bit easier. I need a larger solder iron with a larger tip, I think. I use that bit. And it does take a bit of practice. The more you do it, honestly, the better you'll become. And then in the end, you'll just be soldering like a professional. Or making these things like a professional. I mean, some solder irons you can get, they're really expensive. I mean, this wasn't an expensive one. This was a cheap one. But it's done me well. Now, I've got quite a lot of texture on that. If I want to smooth that out, I'll get it warm and then I'll run that along in a steady line. This is going to be the back of the piece, so I don't want this too textured. Again, just while it's hot, just run it along in a steady line and that will smooth that out. Now the other side, I want it to have a bit more texture on it. I'm going to add some bits to it. And now I'll just go and fill the edges in. I'll do the third bit off camera and then I'll show you what the next stage is. Well, they're done now, and what I need to do is add a jump ring to them. Now, I make my own jump rings out of copper wire, and I show how to make those small and large ones and medium ones in the video where I made these. So I'll link at the end, and if you want to make your own jump rings, then check it out. So once I've got my jump ring and I've decided where I'm going to put it, I get my file and I file it down. So I've got a little bit of a flat end there, and this is where the third arm comes in, or third hand comes in, really useful. So I'll give that a clean all the way around where I'm going to attach it. Put some flux on it, and I know that I'm going to attach it to this one first. I'm using my third hand here, and then to make my life easy, I like to get a bit of solder, dab it in the middle where I'm going to put this jump ring there. And then I'll also put some on the jump ring itself. And then this one, I'm going to put at that angle. I'm holding that on. I'm using my solder iron here to hold that on with. And to heat up that solder that I've already got there. And now that should be on there. I need to tidy that up at all. I can by using my solder iron. Yeah, I might put a bit more at the front. Just there. Because I want a bit of texture there. And there we go. That's on there permanently. So for this one, I'm going to have it up that way, I think. Definitely. Again, I'll do the same thing. I will put a blob of solder on there. Anyone that's a professional jewellery maker or solder person is probably crying at the way I do these sorts of things. But it works for me, and it makes me happy. So there we go. I'll prep my ring. Always useful to have your ring prepped. As I did before, flatten that end off a little bit. With a file. If you haven't got a file, you can do it with sandpaper, and then go on all the way around, give it a bit of a clean, add a bit of flux, add a bit of solder to that as well. This one I'm going to do the normal way round, so I'll get that on there, heat that right up, and then once that's on there, I can check it and see if I want to put a bit more solder around it. Certainly do this one. Well, I messed that right up, look. So all I need to do is put it back on my arm, get me clip, heat that up until it melts again. There we go. Get that in there. There we go. That's that done this time. Oh, actually, I'm glad that happened because it's done much better than the last time. See if I want any more texture on here. There, I think. There. There definitely needs a bit there. And then the last one, I'll do exactly the same way. And then I'll show you how I get all the patina and that on it to finish that off. So they're all done now. And what I need to do is give them a really good clean because they'll be covered in flux. And they'll be covered in my greasy fingerprints and all sorts of things. So what I've done is I've got some warm water here, soapy water, and just a scrubbing brush. I'm going to give them a really good scrub, going all the way around. Because, like I said, this flux is sticky, it does tend to stay on there really well. And I don't want that on there, because it's going to affect the next bit. So once that's done, I'll rinse it under some clear water. And now I can give these a good dry. And you can leave them like this, if you wish, with the silver. But I like to put a patina on them. And before I do that, I'm now going to give them a good old clean in 99% alcohol. To try and make sure that I've got everything off there as I could possibly get. Now put some gloves on. Some of it is toxic when it's liquid. Give it a good old shake. And again, I'll link this in the description below, so don't worry. And now I'll dip my brush in. And you'll see when I pop that on there, it will start to go black. And this is the black patina that I'm using here. See how it goes almost instantly dark and black. Now I'm going to leave this on here until it dries. I'll go all the way around it, both sides and the edge. If you don't clean all that flux off, it creates a barrier to this stuff. And then you don't get the nice dark finish to it. So there we go. I'll finish off coating these ones, and then I'll leave them to dry, and I'll show you what I'm going to do at the end of that. And at this stage, they do look awful, I think, but that's okay because we know it's worked. All I do then is take some wire wool and then I rub over it and bring back some of that silver on the edges and on the raised pieces and leave the dark behind. And that I think it transforms it. Now, you can get other coloured patinas, as I've said. There we go. We're left with a lovely piece like that. We'll go there. Using the steel wool is similar to dry brushing, putting highlights on it and things like that. It doesn't take long. Wear gloves if you're not used to using wire wool, because the little bits of fragments of wool can get stuck in your fingers. Make sure that you check out all your PPE regarding anything that you buy as well, what it needs regarding masks, ventilation and gloves, because everything is different. I will link what I use in the description below, as I said. If you want to get hold of it, you can. I would like a better quality solder iron with a larger tip. But that one is quite a cheap one, but it does what I need it to do. If I was doing a lot more of these every day, then I certainly would have a better one. I think that was only about $30 or $40. And then what I'll do is now they're done, I'll give them all another clean up. And once they're clean, I'll show you what they all look like finished. Well, they're all finished now, and I've made them up into necklaces, and as you can see, they've come out really beautiful, unique as well, and it's something different to do with your broken bits of pottery or plates and things like that. I much prefer it when I put the jump rings on like this, because then I can put the leather cord on, and it will sit around the neck a lot nicer, but a lot of people do like them done like this. So I do a mixture of some with them that way and some with them on that way. But either way, whatever is best for you. I also made a nice little pair of earrings, which will go with any of those. That I love. That shape has just come out so well. And again, the great thing about it is it's double-sided. So whichever side you wear it, I think you're going to enjoy it. Where these ones are white on one side. So if you want to know how I make these almost like acorn caps on these pieces of glass, then check out the video that I've got coming up now. You'll need the same tools, but there's a slightly different technique to it. I hope you've enjoyed that video. I've loved doing this. I've been doing this sort of stuff for years, but I've never really shown it on the channel apart from the stained glass mirror that I made a long time ago when I very first started the channel. I might start introducing more of this sort of thing into the channel and a little bit more jewellery making as well. If you'd like to buy me a coffee, the link's in the description below. Check out the video that's coming up next. Boop the like button, hit the subscribe button, but most of all, enjoy your crafting. Take care. Bye.